Hey there, fellow Texans. It's James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Easy mistake to make. Easy mistake. I'm starting off today's show, though, with just a heart-wrenching story. Savannah Guthrie's mom still missing. Really didn't know I cared this much about the story until you hear the pleas from the family. This is, I know most of us aren't in the position where anyone would want to kidnap one of our relatives and hold them for ransom. But this all just, you feel bad for someone like this. Like, I don't know why this is so relatable, but it is. So we're all kind of looking for this lady, but isn't it weird how far we are into this saga? We have no clues. Absolutely no clues. Now, of course, the likelihood is they do have some clues. They just don't want to share it with the public because they don't want to let the guy know how close they are on his trail. But usually we know more than this by now. I mean, how many of these stories have we talked about this on WBAP? And here we are almost a week into the saga and nothing. We don't even know if she's alive. We have no proof of life. We have some ransom notes, plural. So somebody's lying. This is such a weird story. And for Miss Parker loves true crime shows and podcasts. Hi, Miss Parker. Things like that. And I think most of America does. I remember looking at the ratings 10 years ago, and I think 5 of the top 10 shows were like solving mysteries. It was Cold Case, there was Law and Order, there was NCIS. So I don't have that gene. I don't have that interest in forensic shows. True crime podcasts are sometimes the number one podcast category, depending on what month you're looking at. But for some reason, this story has me interested. Now, before we even get to anything political, which is kind of ugly to throw in there and even bring up before she's found, except for the fact that it might kind of lead us to her or give us some clues. Some people who are perennial skeptics actually deserve a little bit of attention right now, because one of the good arguments being made is if you are going to ransom some rich person or some rich person's mom, why would you choose a celebrity? Why would you choose a lady on the Today Show? Because that means it's going to be in the news and it's going to be national news and everybody's going to know about it and everybody's going to be looking for it. And wouldn't that make the job a lot harder? Wouldn't you try and get after an anonymous person that happens to have some means? Not that I'm trying to give advice to the kidnappers of the world, but I don't have an answer to that. And people have brought it up, and I'm not trying to imply anything about that, but that's part of the discussion that's going on online. Who are these idiots just that are so evil that they're floating fake ransom notes? Hey, look, here's a family at their lowest. Their mom's missing. They're crying themselves to sleep every night. They're just living in this terrible purgatory, this god-awful limbo of not even knowing what happened to your own mom. Let me see if I can take advantage of the situation. Score some Bitcoin out the deal. And then there's a lot of people complaining about just the fact that we even talk about this. What about all these other missing person cases that don't get attention? Well, world's not fair, okay? But let's go through some of the basic updates here. The WFAA did a great recap this morning on the Guthrie kidnap.
Today marks 9 days, and the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Savannah Guthrie, is still missing, and investigators are working to find any suspect in her apparent abduction.
Yeah, over the weekend, her children made yet another appeal to her potential kidnappers as we welcome in ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Kotersky this morning live from Tucson. Week 2 of this search, Aaron, and we know that details are scarce coming out, but what's the latest in this investigation?
The investigators don't have much to go on, is the truth, Mark. They do not have a suspect or a person of interest. They do not have a vehicle connected to the case. They did return here to Nancy Guthrie's home over the weekend. They were on the roof examining cameras. They towed a car. They were going door to door, interviewing neighbors, looking for additional home security footage. But because it's so dark, on purpose to accommodate the observatories in the mountains, they don't hold out much hope that home security cameras caught anything useful in that crucial 45-minute window from last Sunday when it's believed Nancy Guthrie was taken against her will. They noticed the doorbell camera that was disconnected. They know a camera captured an intruder inside, although wasn't set up to record an image of it. They know that Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker was disconnected from her phone, which was left behind. And as this investigation enters a second week, there are real concerns, grave concerns about her health and her well-being because she does rely on daily medication.
You know, Aaron, we got another message from the Guthrie family just pleading for her safe return. And it also comes with word of more ransom notes. What are you hearing about those?
So the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department have been studying all of the notes that were received by local television stations here in Tucson, but they have not been able to validate their authenticity. But clearly the Guthrie family is grasping at anything to bring their mother home, and will do whatever it takes, they say.
Hoping for a good end to this story. Aaron Katersky, thank you for joining us live from Tucson.
All right, so that was WFAA's. That's a great report from them. Let me show you what the Twitter sphere is saying. The sort of conspiracy theorists, although they turn out to be right quite often. Let's bring up some of the weird connections to the Clinton here. This is independent journalist, Proud Shrimper's daughter is what she goes by, but this is what they're saying.
Well, I tell you what, I went down a rabbit hole this morning. I had an extra hour before I had to get up and get ready for work. I went down the rabbit hole of Savannah Guthrie. Now, we've all heard about her mother being kidnapped out in Arizona, but I dug a little farther. Her husband, his last name is Feldman. He worked for the Clintons the 8 years they were in office, okay? He started a company called Grover Park. Basically, what they were scrubbers. They would scrub the internet of anything bad that they did not want the public to find out. They would scrape the whole internet, so when you did a search, you couldn't find out anything about it. How much you want to bet? Because the Clintons are going in front of Congress that they struck out to this guy because he was their cleaner. We've all heard about the 50-some-odd people that have had questionable deaths behind the Clintons. We've all heard about them. Not one person in this country has not heard about them. So how much you want to bet they want to keep this guy silent to get his mother-in-law back? So tonight I'll end up having to do some more research, but right now I don't have time. But if you have time today, please go down that rabbit hole, because you are going to find out so much information. It's going to go boom in your head. You go, oh, hell, she might be on to something. But mark my words, this has something to do with the Clintons.
I mean, they can't be involved in everything, can they? What do you think about the alternative theory there? Because crazy as it sounds, that would provide some sort of motive when the motive seems unclear as it is. Is that believable to you? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I don't know which theory is correct because we don't have a whole lot of theories floating around. But coming up next, we're going to talk to a sister station of our parent company, and the guy lives miles from where this is happening, from Arizona. David Kelly from 1290 KCUB will be on next with The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. The search for Savannah Guthrie's mom continues. I'm James Parker on The James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And we have a sister station that happens to be right there. And my next guest is from our sister station over there. And it's told to me, this is David Kelly, by the way, program director at 1290 KCUB. You're just miles away from where this is going on? Oh, really? What's your home address again? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But all right, David. Fun aside, what do we not know in the outside world that you guys know there? They went to Tucson last year. Oh, is the mom known in Tucson very well, or is she just Savannah's mom? Okay, we're talking with David Kelly from 1290 KCUB in Tucson, Arizona, about the missing mother of Savannah Guthrie. Do y'all have posses? Did y'all have search teams? Did y'all have a bunch of volunteers go and comb the area around her house? Well, that's terrible, David. That means they don't have any clues. They don't even have any direction where she could have gone. That's well, that's right. Yeah. I got to tell you, in the aerial shots that they do of Tucson, I don't get to see it very much because y'all don't have a football team or anything. It looks like a pretty nice town. Yeah, it looks great on TV. Are you guys close enough to the border that kidnappings are a regular thing? Because up here, I'm in Dallas. It's super rare, but I have family that lives in Laredo. Kidnappings are on the news all the time. How rare is this for Tucson? Oh, that. All right, wild stuff. Thank you very much. This is David Kelly from KCUB, our sister station, 1290 in Tucson, Arizona. Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for spending some time with us in Dallas. Such a sad story. I mean, is this not heartbreaking, or what? Can we just find this lady? I feel bad for Savannah. I feel sad every time her and the siblings put out a video. Can you please help us find our mom? And I mean, how helpless does that feel? But let's talk about motives. What could there possibly be an ulterior motive? Could it possibly be something besides some guys just wanted to kidnap a lady and try and get some money? Why would you choose a celebrity? Why would you choose something that gets you more attention and makes it less likely that you would have a successful ransom situation? And if it's not just flat out money, then what is it? 800 288 9227. 800 288 9227. I'll share with you some online theories coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, let's talk about motives. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Savannah Guthrie's mom is still missing. Some people are saying that it's just a ransom. Some people trying to get some money. Some people are saying there's a political motivation. Let me read to you some of what the online discussion sounds like, because I know only about 20-something% of you are on Twitter and are really scrolling through the conversation. But, like, here's one from Johnny Blaze is the rando's name. He says, what if the Guthrie family were involved in the death of Nancy and the ransom isn't a ransom but blackmail? Someone knows what really happened and are going to expose them if not paid. Or it was never about the money but a countdown to when they would be exposed. Comfortably Ill says, can we just admit Annie Guthrie and the son-in-law had Nancy Guthrie murdered for money? We already know they needed money. This is ridiculous already. So I guess Annie Guthrie would be one of the siblings to Savannah. So Annie Guthrie and the son-in-law had their mom murdered, what, for the insurance money? Or for the ransom money? For both? I'm not sure where they're going with that one. But see, right there, there's a couple people that are pointing at the family already. And there's reasons to be suspicious of the family. The fact that there was blood in front of the house, someone knew to tear down the cameras where the cameras were. Okay, maybe. I can't tell them they're wrong. Sounds like a long shot. I think most of us just have a hard time imagining people are capable of killing their parents because we're not. But that would mean there's just a huge level of evil in these videos now that they're releasing on Instagram. Oh, can you help us find her mom? We'll pay whatever. Tony G says, I'm sorry, but this entire Guthrie situation is way too convenient timing. A satanic pedophilia ring run in conjunction via the CIA and FIS that literally sacrificed and cannibalized children was just exposed, but it's wall-to-wall Guthrie kidnapping on all outlets. Is anybody eating children? I missed that story. Is that part of the Epstein release? I hadn't really gone through all those files. If you got any video or especially viral video of anyone eating children, don't send it to me, but just let me know about it because I need to report on that story. That would be a big story if people are eating children. See what I'm saying? It gets real ridiculous real quick. We're just trying to find Savannah Guthrie's mom. We got to go into eating kids. Can y'all just calm down for a second? David G says the Nancy Guthrie abduction isn't adding up. My gut tells me Tommaso Cioni, when he dropped her off, argument happened and she died. Removing the cameras could have been an attempt to cover it up. And as usual, money may be the motive. Hope I'm wrong and she is found okay, allegedly. MAGA Deplorable says, you know where this is going. This is why they're playing the Guthrie story 24/7. It's all bull crap. Guthrie's husband worked for the Clintons, hiding bad stuff. Who's coming to town? The Clintons. Okay. And then here's another one. Sorry, this is kind of long, but there's a lot of these. He goes by the runner Q. My first impression of the Guthrie abduction at this time, when the Epstein public revelations are being made right now, was the abduction was related. What if Guthrie knew of potential family members' involvement with Epstein and was either critical of the family member or was wanting to speak out and was disappeared somehow by an act of rage by that family member? There was a significant trail of blood found in the house. The front door camera and recording system was torn out and missing. The suspicion was enhanced after learning of the fake ransom note. Random notes are often tools to distract the police to gain more time after the crime. The crime was committed by someone who knew the layout of the front door camera system, very likely an insider. The timing is very interesting. And then a local guy, his name's Steve Krakauer. He is Megyn Kelly's producer, but I think he lives in North Texas. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's our neighbor. Steve Krakauer, if you're listening, say hi. But I think he has the best list. He says, and this is nice, sober analysis. He says 5 options as I see it for this truly horrific Guthrie story. Number 1, professional criminal organization / cartel abduction motivated by money. Number 2, a family or close associate abduction motivated by money. 3, deranged fan / stalker of Savannah abduction or killing. Psychological motivation. I like that one. I don't think that one's getting enough attention. There's just a crazy person who fell in love with Savannah over the TV and trying to get some attention from her. If that doesn't make sense to you, remember John Hinckley shot President Reagan because he wanted to get Jodie Foster's attention. He didn't know she was a lesbian at the time. I mean, that's got to be the word. You shot the president of the United States trying to get the attention of a woman who's not even interested in your entire gender. Good job. Next one. There's a family or close associate killing, and the ransom notes are not legit, and someone else is trying to get the money. Or random criminal killing, ransom notes are not legit, and someone else trying to get money. I don't know. That's 5 legit outcomes. Is there anything besides that? 800-288-9227. Because I think that might be the best list so far. Stephen Krakauer, Megyn Kelly's producer, has his list out there. And I don't know which one's right, but I think it has to be one of those 5. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll start breaking down the Super Bowl and really the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Did you enjoy the Super Bowl? Did you enjoy the Super Bowl halftime? Or should I say, which Super Bowl halftime did you enjoy? It's so sad. It's so sad that we can't all just enjoy the same Super Bowl halftime show like we did growing up. And when I say growing up, it wasn't even that long ago that the Super Bowl halftime show was sort of a universally agreed upon awesome thing by everyone. Everyone just thought that was cool. Let's watch the Super Bowl halftime show. But now it's a punchline. When I say it's a punchline, it's actually a punchline, as in, like, here's Mark Norman. He's a comedian that was making fun of this this weekend. So this was before the show happened, I believe.
Pretty Hispanic crowd. This looks like a Selena concert out here. What about Bad Bunny? Where are you guys at? Okay, yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, you got to watch out because Ice is going to be there. So whoever's singing along is getting popped. I'm just saying, If you know too many words, they'll snag you. All right, we got to fight over everything now, huh? Remember how good we had it back in the old days when Janet Jackson whipped the out? Yeah. Now that was a halftime show, damn it. That's something we can all get behind. Yeah. Well, look, I get it. You got a Puerto Rican guy singing only in Spanish on Super Bowl Sunday. That is kind of crazy. Why don't we just reverse it, Just have a Bieber singing a cockfight in Puerto Rico. There you go.
Of course, Justin Bieber, Canadian. Proper due. But no, solid jokes there. And it is sad that we can't just agree on a Super Bowl halftime show. It is sad that we now have competing ones. And it used to be that the competing halftime show would be the Puppy Bowl. Or I remember when they made the Bud Light bottles have a battle against the Budweiser bottles, and it was the Bud Bowl. Oh, that's right. That's a good call. Garrett brought up in Living Color did their halftime show, and they'd have you watched the one that they did in like 1995 or whatever it was, because I remember, it was during one of the Cowboys Super Bowl, and it had the men on film where it's Marlon Wayans and David Allen Greer and the Fire Marshal Bill. You're bringing me back. Stop it, Garrett. Your thoughts on the halftime show? Now, I thought both of them were okay. I'm a big Bunny fan. I thought he did all right. I knew it'd be political. I knew he'd talk about how awesome Puerto Rico is. He spends half his songs doing that anyway. So no big shock there. On the other side, the TPUSA, I thought that one was fine too. Except for the end, I thought it was great. And I'll play the last couple minutes of Kid Rock's set. Or actually, he came back to do like a encore song. I'll play the end of that in a little bit because I think that was the most touching part. But overall, it blows my mind that no matter where I'm turning the station, on what platform, there's people who love the TPUSA one and hated Bad Bunny, or people who hated Bad Bunny and loved the Like, you can't just like them both. Andrew in Lake Worth, you're on WBAP. Go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch any of them. Be honest with you. That's because for me with the Super Bowl, there's one or two things that I can get down to sit and watch it, and that's either A, and it's very rare if the Cowboys are in it, but nobody's seen that since the 90s.
Right.
And two, if there's a good Super Bowl halftime performer, and usually there is. But this year, I watched 2 seconds of the halftime show, and I turned it off because I didn't understand the word he was saying.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And look, I'm a fan of Bad Bunny, but I can watch that and say, NFL, that doesn't appeal to a big chunk of America. Well, you can't understand what they're saying. You can't relate to anything they're saying, and it's all iconography and references, pop culture references to things that we don't share. And so, look, I know Puerto Rico's part of America, and so it's not like a completely foreign concept here. But if they were trying to appeal to middle America, they did a terrible job. So the assumption here isn't that, there's an inconsistency in our worldview. Our worldview needs to change. They were doing this to appeal to the Latinos. And I don't know. I think I'm on the I don't want to say I'm on both sides of the fence here, But some of what he was saying was complaining about how much the Latino culture is watered down and has been watered down and has been changed by outside forces, and they're not being themselves and they're not embracing their rich cultural heritage or whatever. And, from their point of view, like if you go to Puerto Rico, or like Miss Parker has family, a lot of family. It still lives in Old Mexico there. And when we go visit in Merida, you drive down the street. You know what you see on the street? And this is down the Yucatan Peninsula. This is in a border town. You see a McDonald's. You see a Subway. You see an AutoZone. You see a PetSmart. You see a Best Buy. And they are just as freaked out about us not assimilating and us forcing our culture onto them as we are the opposite. So, if you kind of look at it from that point of view, like that was one of the complaints he was made. I don't think the Super Bowl halftime was the appropriate venue to make that argument, but it's still interesting to hear, like, once you see it from the other side, like, he's complaining about some of the same things we complain about, just from the other side of the water.
Well, I also have a proposition if you have enough time.
1 minute.
I miss the times where the Super Bowl would actually bring global superstars. The first time that they brought it, they were in serious need for viewers was when Michael Jackson did it, and there was no streaming back then. There wasn't anything where you had to pay to watch the Super Bowl, unless it was just for cable. But he brought in millions and millions and millions of viewers, and they sat down and watched it, and that was the most viewed Super Bowl halftime show that I understand. Period.
Yeah, well, also, you got to think about it from the NFL's point of view. They are trying to expand and open up new markets. And so you had all these Latino people for the first time had to sit down and watch a football game, because that's not something they do. We were just as much programming the Latino community as the Latino community was programming us. 800-288-9227. More on the Super Bowl halftime show coming up next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Yeah, let's go. All right, you people on hold, we'll continue with the calls about the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl halftime show. But Savannah Guthrie just released a new Instagram within the last hour, and this is her latest message for the general public and kind of for the kidnappers as well.
Everybody, I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
Wow. That is tough. All right, back to the phones. Stephanie in Denton, thank you for hanging on. You're on WBAP.
Hey, I was just going to say that I'm kind of on both sides of the fence as far as agreeing on the show or not. So
Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah,
Okay.
You were talking about the In Living Color special, like from the early 90s. Like, I lived for that. I loved that show. Like, that was probably the last time I thought anything was super funny on TV. But, like, those men on books, men on films, men on whatever, like, those things live in my brain.
Men on football, right.
Men on football, yeah, that was probably one of the best things ever.
No, I recorded that on a VHS tape and watched it like subsequently like 50 times. I can tell you half the punchlines in the Men on Football where they talk about that they're now interested in football now that they found out some of the great players have names like Bob Greasy and Dick Butkus. Yeah, I remember that.
Me and my sister could probably replay every Men on sketch that was made. But so, if we're not going to agree on, who's performing, whatever, I think an alternative like something like that, where it's not another musical performance, but some other form of entertainment, I think is not a terrible idea. But as far as like the disagreement on Bad Bunny or not, like I'm not a Bad Bunny fan by any means, except in Zumba class. But I will say that I did not particularly enjoy the show last night because some of the songs, the lyrics were changed. So those are not the real songs. So where people are like, oh, it's a great quality performance. It wasn't not all of it was his true music that I know it to be. Not the clips that I hear in Zumba anyway. So I just feel like, there's never going to be, I think we've just become a people that disagree for the sake of disagreement. Like, even if there was someone just wonderful, like the perfect performer, everyone is going to, or a lot of people are going to find something to pick at. Some reason this is not the best performance for Super Bowl halftime.
So is there anyone we could just all agree on would be a good Super Bowl halftime? Because I remember we all agreed that Prince was good. And was that the only one? Was that the last one?
I think that might have been the last one. I mean, was Prince before or after Madonna?
Let me see. I've got a list over here. Do you really want me to go through the list? Because if you
No, 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 it's okay. I remember enjoying the Madonna performance as well. But I mean, I'm a fan of hers, so of course I'm going to say I enjoyed it. But like, there's been people that I'm not a fan of. Like, I'm not a J Lo fan, but I watched that performance with Shakira. I'm not per se a big Janet Jackson fan, but I love Justin Timberlake. So some of like the collaborative type performances I think are okay because then you get a little bit of everybody and make everybody a little bit happy at some point during the 20-minute performance. Like it's so silly to me how big of a deal it's become when it's such a short amount of time. Like go to the restroom and get a new snack. Like it doesn't. I just don't get why it's such a big deal. And I'll tell you the other thing too is like I think it was on your show. You were saying, I don't maybe know what he was saying the entire time. Nobody knows what he was saying half the time. Like I wouldn't say I'm perfectly fluent, maybe 60 or 70%. I don't know what he's saying half the time. So I don't know. To each their own. Move on. Pick something else to fight about, but don't let it be the Super Bowl performance.
Well, here's an interesting experiment I'm doing, inspired by Stephanie in Denton right now. I'm scrolling up through the list of halftime performers of all the Super Bowls in history, and I'm trying to find when was the last time we had a country band. You want to guess?
I'm going to guess early 90s.
Dang, you're good at this game. 1994. So the 1993 season. Damn, that's a good guess, Stephanie. It was Clint Black, Tanya Tucker, Travis Tritt, and the Judds. Oh, wait, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. I'm sorry. Hang on. Clint African American. I think is what we have to call him now.
I'm from West Texas, so I'm a big Tanya Tucker fan. So I feel like I kind of remember that, but I was also a kid then. But I feel like I remember that at least a little bit.
All right, got to run. Stephanie from Denton, great call. Appreciate it. All right, you people, I've got another guest that's going to break down some of the Savannah Guthrie stuff, but if you don't mind hanging on, I'll be happy to take your calls on the Super Bowl after that, 800-288-9227. Also, if you have any theories on what's going on with Savannah Guthrie's mom, is this a ransom? Was this a murder? And the ransom stuff is just kind of a cover-up? Did the family do it? Did the sister do it? Was it the butler in the library with the candlestick? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Welcome back to the big show. Betsy Brantner Smith from National Police Association back on the James Show. And just a quick recap on what's going on in the Guthrie. Hey, good to see you again, Betsy. Quick recap on the Guthrie story. Savannah Guthrie, in the last hour, released a new message on Instagram, and it just breaks your heart. She says that we're in our most desperate hour. She's begging the public for any kind of help. And the one thing I find different about this story is how few clues we have, and we're about a week into this, Betsy. So the idea or the facts that the cameras and surveillance system had been ripped out, does that mean it was an inside job, or does that mean someone maybe was trying to rob this woman or accidentally killed this woman in an altercation, and then maybe he got some help after the fact and someone else knew to rip it out? Or what do you think about that? Really? All right, we're talking with Betsy Brantner Smith, National Police Association. The multiple ransom notes. Is this something we're just going to have to deal with in the future now? Because now any smart aleck with a Bitcoin account can try and skim some money off a desperate situation. And we don't have any proof of life. Betsy Brantner Smith, where do they find you online? Thank you very much. All right, back to your calls. I think all these are Super Bowl halftime related. Did you know there's a Super Bowl yesterday? Tom in San Angelo, you're on WBAP.
Yes, why don't they just start doing more advertising as halftime? They'd make more money. I mean, it's like $5 to $8 million per advertiser, right? So just do that.
What, just run commercials for 20 minutes?
I thought the Budweiser thing was great. We get some creative stuff out of that. You know, if they really put their minds to it, they can do some good stuff that's entertaining.
I don't think people would watch that. 130 million people watched it. Like, I think slightly more than people that were watching the actual game watched the halftime.
Well, maybe then that means that maybe the halftime is more important than the football game.
Well, to people who grow up and their favorite sport is soccer and they've never watched a football game in their life, but they do know Bad Bunny. That's the explanation for that, Tom.
Well, I really wish that people could look at the text of what he was singing, and then they might not like Bad Bunny. With one more thing, too, with the Guthrie thing, my concern is an inside job. I'm a physician, and I don't know how to take a pacemaker and disconnect it from an Apple Watch.
Well, maybe you need to surrender your license then, Tom. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, there's a lot of people who think it's the sister, and this is judging by random people in the comment section on random social media posts. But you're not alone. A lot of people think it's an inside job, probably the sister. I think Miss Parker is leaning toward like some guy was like maybe a maintenance man or whatever, just saw a crime of opportunity. Or maybe someone accidentally killed her and they're like, well, I guess we got to hide the body now. And it's like, all right, well, a bunch of another idiots are throwing in some ransom notes just to make everyone else confused and trying to get some money off of it. And until we know more, all theories are valid at this point, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's Tom calling in from San Angelo. If you got any theories on either the missing mother of Savannah Guthrie or your thoughts on the Super Bowl halftime show, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Our top two stories of the day: Savannah Guthrie's mom still missing. Just a brutal video released in the 2 o'clock hour where she says we're at our most desperate hour. We need your help. The other top story is the Super Bowl, and not really the game, just the halftime show controversy. Controversy, question mark? And all the calls on the board are about those two. So let's just start rolling through these because you already know what I think. I thought the Super Bowl halftime was okay. I thought the Turning Point one was probably better, but the Bad Bunny one was good. I was already a Bad Bunny fan. I don't know if that's going to connect with the football audience, seeing as how most people couldn't understand it, myself included. I'm about half fluent in Spanish. I didn't understand half that. But I saw this whole Turning Point thing, and I'm going to play you the very end of Kid Rock's little encore song when he came back on. Now that was something that could be remembered in future years, but let's roll through some of these calls. I got a ton of people here. Brent, Lake Weatherford, you're on WBAP. Go.
You know, there's a lot of great rock and roll frontmen. You got Jagger, you got Guthrie, you got Steven Tyler, and all these guys. And they're a little on the, how these guys operate. But they don't grab their crotch, And I just think it's disgusting, that they got – I know Ed Sullivan, and when Morrison said, can't get higher or whatever, and we had a little bit of editing there, but they've probably seen this guy's performances before. I've never seen them. I actually watched it. I thought it had some good choreography. I enjoyed part of it, but why does this dude, pull that? You got your grandkids, you got your people there. It'd be really simple just to say, can we just make sure this doesn't happen? I don't know. I thought.
Well, no, look,
this okay.
Brent, I love this discussion here because my parents tell the stories about how their parents and grandparents were like, I can't believe how Elvis shakes his hips. That is so improper, and, cover your eyes, and that shouldn't be allowed on TV because it's too sexual. And I imagine, like, before that, there were some great grandparents who were getting scolded by my great-great-grandparents. It's like, I can't believe she shows all of her ankle in public like that, or I can't believe she went to the store in public and you could see her entire wrist, and I'm not saying the tolerance of, body parts being exposed should be infinite, but I'm just noticing the boundary keeps moving. And are we just doing this because we've really gotten to the edge of what is ethical or moral or decent? Or is this just what every generation says about the next one?
I'm just saying it's very graphic what he did, and these other things might be a little on the suggestive side, but the skin and all that stuff. I understand women that have it, they have it. I guess men that have it, they have it. But it's too graphic, and that's just I'm a 74-year-old rock and roller, on the stage all my life too. It never pulled any stuff. You just
Brent, would you rather see Bad Bunny grab himself, or would you rather see Justin Timberlake expose Janet Jackson's boobie?
Well, exactly. I didn't like that either. I thought that was horrible.
All right.
Yeah,
points
for both of those.
Points for being consistent. Well done. That's Brent in Lake Weatherford. Thank you, sir. Next call, Eduardo in Fort Worth. You're on WBAP.
Hey, well, just getting to the point. First of all, so everybody knows, I am immigrant. I am Latino. I speak Spanish fluently, and I'm completely against the whole Bad Bunny garbage. And the reason is because, you were saying, why can't we like both? No, I don't think so. We are Americans. I am a happy, true blue American, even though I wasn't born here. And I got here as a teenager, and I learned to love and respect what we stand for. So you shouldn't have a person that is completely against, someone that goes against your laws, is against what our government is doing. That sends a message. You also brought up the point that, maybe the NFL is trying to diversify and expand its audience. No, that's not what it is, because then they lost me for sure. Like I said, I understand every idiotic word that comes out of his mouth, but I'm not going to watch it simply because you live here. You became rich off of this nation that has been so good to him and I. If he was so pro all the political stuff that he stands for, supposedly, if I was him, I would have taken already some of those millions and I would have given it to a lot of Latino families, given them a job, given them medical care, and things like that. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't just talk about it, but be about it. Instead, he's becoming more popular, richer off of American families either way. And yeah, Latino families because he's popular in Latin America. But the thing is, why would you like a show that is completely in Spanish? We lost all of our, maybe not everybody. You say that you liked it. Well, God bless you for that, I guess. But, but I'm like, no, this is football is all American. I mean, you cannot say that. Football is not like the World Cup. Well, we have to appeal to everybody. No. Football is American. Let's be American about it.
All right, Eduardo. Great call, sir. I appreciate all that. How bad is his accent to understand? Are you of Mexican descent? Where'd you come from?
No, I'm Central American. I was born in Guatemala, and I moved to the United States when I was 14 years old. So his accent, I can understand people with a bad accent, but this dude has the worst accent ever.
Yeah. The best man at my wedding is a Puerto Rican socialist. And when I speak Spanish to him, he is sloppy and they use different words. And it's very, I don't want to say Americanized. I guess it's almost half English. It is different. It's different enough that I have trouble with it because I only learned in the streets and I learned clearly Mexican Spanish. So thanks for clearing that up, Eduardo. Great call.
Yeah, not only that, but I just want to say, if whenever we allow for that tolerance, like you were talking about, that's how these things, this ideologies get into our country. And some things are black and white. I'm sorry, but if you are American, then be American. If you're, I wasn't born in this country, but if people invaded and they were from the country that I was born, I would not think for 1 second before me and my children go defend the United States.
True, but Eduardo, the thing that really bothers me about some of the outside influence isn't the fact that they're a different color or they eat different food or they dress a little different or their music sounds different. It's all the socialism, I think, is what I really have a problem with. That's the one problem. Or if it's from like a Muslim country, the fact that you're going to oppress women the second you take over. I don't want my daughters and granddaughters to grow up like that. But man, great calls. I got some more people online about the Savannah Guthrie missing mom case. So I'll take a couple calls if you got any hot opinions on that, maybe a motive, maybe a theory on who done it, or Super Bowl halftime reactions. We're going to continue with calls next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So let's talk about Savannah Guthrie's missing mom. Boy, some people are pointing out in the video that the absolute lack of any evidence may be the sign that they're hot on the trail and they just want to throw off the kidnappers and think they don't know anything. Maybe they're trying to lull them into a mistake, or maybe they're just trying to get them to stop and stay stationary while they're tracking them down for the last few minutes here before they jump in and put them in cuffs and save the mom. Boy, I hope they're right. I don't like the political stuff that's being thrown around in there, but if it'll help us find the lady, maybe we need to talk about it. Is there something worth looking into when it comes to Savannah Guthrie's husband? He used to work for the Clintons. Was in the Clinton administration for all 8 years, and then worked with him afterwards, being a what do they call that? A scrubber? All right. What do you think? 800-288-9227. Back to the phones we go. Chris. This is Chris in Plano. You're on WBAP.
Yeah, your last caller, Eduardo, I'd like to buy him a beer.
Right.
What a great American.
Getting a lot of good callers today. Anyway, be the next great one, Chris.
So my theory, I apologize I didn't tune in when your show started, but my theory is a son-in-law who looks like he could be Charles Manson himself.
So Annie's husband.
I think he kidnapped her and turned her over 70 miles down the border to the cartel.
Why would the cartel want her?
Cartel's big into Bitcoin. And I don't know why it's not being discussed more. Well, I do know why. Savannah and the media don't want to admit it.
Well, I've seen that theory. So I guess Savannah's sister is Annie, and her husband is the one that a lot of commenters are suspicious of. Now, I've read through some of the details and whatnot, and I'm not as good at this game as like a Miss Parker is. She's really good at solving mysteries. But you're not the first person to say that. And someone even said in one of the Twitter comments I read earlier, everyone knows he has money problems. He does? I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah, I just I heard it vaguely from Paul Morrow on Fox. He said, he didn't think it's a cartel, but I think it is, man. I think he turned her over to the cartel.
Interesting. All right, Chris. Well, remember this, and if you turn out to be right, call back and say, hey, James, remember I called in and I predicted it? That was me. I was Chris in Plano, that guy.
Like I did about Trump, he won the popular vote. I called you on that, too.
Well, that makes me feel even better. Chris in Plano. I want to hear from you again. I hope.
Thanks.
All right. Ken, Arlington, you're next up on WBAP. Go.
The sister and the brother-in-law did it.
So this is the theory. Annie is her name, Annie Guthrie?
Yep.
Or wouldn't she have like a married name now, but she was Annie Guthrie?
Yeah.
So tell me about the money problems. Why do so many people say, well, they have money problems? I didn't know that. I don't see the evidence for that. Where's that coming from?
They got tired of being the caregivers for her. She refused to probably be put away in a retirement center, and so the sister and the brother-in-law were probably caregivers for her, and they got tired of being the caregiver for her, and they said, hey, you know what, we could do this and we could get a little bit of money, because it's been brought up that he has money problems. I don't know if that's true or not. Things got out of hand, and they didn't use their vehicles because the police have already probably searched the vehicles. It was probably that white van, and she's probably in the safe house somewhere. But with that amount of blood being found, she's probably perished.
So you think she's not alive already? They're just going to try and get the ransom, and they've hidden the body?
Right, yeah. Because, with that amount of blood, without medical attention at that age, it throws people into shock. I think that they just got tired of being the caregiver for her, and Savannah was probably flipping the bill for the upkeep of taking care of her and stuff like that. But
agreed.
They probably got tired of being the caregiver for the mom. If you look at the sister in that one interview where it's the sister, Savannah, and the brother, the sister's sitting there pouting on the couch, not like, oh my God, I miss my mom. It's, oh my God, something happened and it just got out of control.
Does she have sort of a look on her face like, hey, why isn't anyone paying attention to me?
That or that they're going to start paying attention to me, and then my gig's up.
Well,
and I think
yeah,
that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Because there's a slight difference between that face and the face your dog makes after you leave something on the counter. You go out of the room, and when you come back, it's gone, and you look at the dog, and he's like, "What? What?"
Yeah.
It's like, well, I know you're guilty.
Yeah, the dog pooped on the floor, and that's the only dog that's there. And okay, who can I blame? It's me.
Why do we have to go to poop? Why can't it just be him stealing food off the counter? All right, thank you very much, Ken in Arlington. All right, well, that's cool. Great callers today. And I got to tell you, Miss Parker is really good at this game. Like, so let's solve this mystery. This is her jam, right? She loves this. In fact, she's too good at it. She watched all these shows, and she likes to watch Dexter and stuff. And I'm not really into that. I'll watch it just because I get to sit next to a hot lady on the couch. But she will turn to me. She's like, these idiots, they should have, all you got to do is put plastic down first and you wouldn't have gotten caught. I'm like, you don't need to be giving the killers advice on how to kill their husband. All right. I'm over here. I'm trying to enjoy this bag of Bucky snacks. I've got the beef jerky bag over here. Now I have to worry about Miss Parker killing me and getting away with it. If I ever go missing, it's totally Miss Parker. No one's going to ransom me. And you're not going to catch her. Don't even try. You're not going to catch her. She knows what she's doing. That'll be fine. In fact, that's kind of how I hope I go. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, some response to the video that got a lot of attention at the very end of last week, and I'm going to scrub the internet real quick for any new Guthrie updates. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. The search for Savannah Guthrie's mom. Top story in the country right now. Competing with that is really the people's reaction to the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl halftime show. You know, we hadn't got to really talk about the Super Bowl itself that much. I kind of liked it. I like a good defensive battle. I thought both the teams played good. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I had to get in my car and go pick up my kid from jazz rehearsal. But I liked what I saw. I had no complaints there. So, and that's definitely the more fun of the stories we have going on. This Savannah Guthrie story, we just had some new information. She put out a new video since the beginning of the show. So you may not have heard that whole thing, just a clip of it there in the news. This is from about, this is just an hour ago.
Everybody, I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
So that's it. That is just a lady trying to get her mom back. The internet sleuths. I don't know if there's a majority position, but there's kind of a plurality position, which means not more than half, but more than the other options that are being thrown out. A lot of people think this woman's already dead. And maybe they botched the kidnapping, or maybe the homicide happened and the kidnapping was an afterthought. Maybe it was an intentional homicide. Now they're just hiding the body, and this other kidnapping story is popping up because someone's trying to get some Bitcoin out of the deal. Maybe there's not even really a kidnapping at all. But we don't have proof of life. We don't have a whole lot of evidence. We don't have any leads. So now we just got these sad videos from the lady we kind of know from the Today Show. It's heartbreaking stuff. All right, 800-288-9227. If you have any theories on that, they're all welcome. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they're not telling us. I understand why they're not telling us. That's just not very fun. Coming up next, Lieutenant Commander Joe Cardinale. He's a former NYPD Lieutenant Commander. He's dealt with kidnappings. He's dealt with profiling. He's dealt with trying to solve crimes as his profession. We'll see what he says about what scant evidence we have in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mom. The whole nation's looking for Nancy Guthrie right now. We might not ever get closure on this. You realize she might not ever be found. We might not ever know what really happened. If this was a homicide and they're actually doing a good job of hiding the body and no one's ever going to fess up to it, no one's ever going to brag about it, no one's ever going to get any Bitcoin out of it. That's what a nightmare for Savannah. At least give the lady some closure. If she can't have her mom back, give her some closure. So Joe Cardinale next on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. All right, let's talk to a pro about the Savannah Guthrie mom missing case. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And I know they've been all over the story, but retired NYPD Lieutenant Commander Joe Cardinale's coming back on the James Show. And Joe, we're in day 9 now, and I think a lot of us are losing hope that she'll ever be found alive. How far down the pessimism hole have you gone? Ooh, that's Miss Parker's theory. So my wife's theory is that this was probably an unintentional homicide. They just decided after the fact that they were going to take the body with them. We don't even know if it's a kidnapping. That might have just shown up with some ransom notes, either from the people who did it to throw off the cops, or it might just be opportunists trying to get some Bitcoin from a vulnerable family. So yeah, that tracks with my wife there, Joe. Well, no, that counts. We all have gut feelings, but your gut feelings come with being a cop for 30, 35 years. So your gut feelings kind of have a little bit more input. What's up with that? Well, it's a good time to talk to a retired cop today, so we really appreciate your time on the James Show. Thank you, Joe. All right. She's pretty good at this game. Yep, that's Joe Cardinale. Your thoughts on what's going on? What do you think is the motive, or what's really the reason why Savannah Guthrie doesn't know where her mom is? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, I wanted to play the very end of the Turning Point USA show. Just the last 2.5 minutes just really killed. And we'll play that on the other side of the break here. It's just Kid Rock came out and he sang Cody Johnson's song "Till You Can't," which that song on its own, if you don't have your guard up and you just listen to the lyrics, that song will make you tear up. But he added a lyric. Kid Rock added a lyric that he wrote to the end of this song, and it just brought the house down. And like I watched it at my parents' house last night, and we had some family over and stuff, and we weren't like clapping or cheering or anything. We were just sitting there just kind of dumbfounded, like, wow, that was that's not what you expect from a Super Bowl halftime. Everything got serious real quick. But before we get all serious, Mark Norman, comedian, had some jokes about the halftime show.
Pretty Hispanic crowd. This looks like a Selena concert out here. What about Bad Bunny? Where are you guys at? Okay, yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, you got to watch out because ICE is going to be there. So whoever's singing along is getting popped. I'm just saying, If you know too many words, they'll snag you. All right, we got to fight over everything now, huh? Remember how good we had it back in the old days when Janet Jackson whipped the out? Yeah. Now that was a halftime show, damn it. That's something we can all get behind. Yeah. Well, look, I get it. You got a Puerto Rican guy singing only in Spanish on Super Bowl Sunday. That is kind of crazy. Why don't we just reverse it, Just have a Bieber singing a cockfight in Puerto Rico. There you go.
All right, coming up next, the last 2 minutes of the Turning Point USA halftime show. You'll hear it on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, I'm about to play the last 2.5 minutes of the Turning Point USA halftime show. After that, we're playing Dead or Alive. If you want to play Dead or Alive, go ahead and call in now. And while the last little 2-minute audio is playing from the halftime from TP USA yesterday, Garrett will screen your call and get you all lined up for the game show. But listen to what the prize is today. If you're interested in this, if you're a college baseball fan, you probably want to call in right now, because this weekend coming to Globe Life Field is the Shriners College Baseball Showdown. Now, this is going to be a bunch of teams that some of you may have a strong affinity for. Arkansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, and then also Vanderbilt's going to be there. But if you don't have time to play, you can get tickets at globelifefield.com. But if you want to try and win these tickets, it's a 4-pack of tickets. So you and all the kids can go, or you and your coworker, and y'all can double date. But that's what we're going to do, Dead or Alive, right after I play this clip here from Kid Rock. And today's category is Super Bowl halftime artists. So that's pretty cool. See how it all kinds of weaves together? Yeah, that's not an accident. This is like my 3rd or 4th radio show ever. So we'll do Dead or Alive. Go ahead and call in right now, 800-288-9227. As soon as we get done with this, Kid Rock came out, opened the halftime show, did a couple Kid Rock songs, left the stage. A couple other acts did their thing, Brantley Gilbert, and I forgot the name of the other lady. And he comes back to close out the halftime show, and he does a song from Cody Johnson that's just a tearjerker to begin with. But then he writes his own verse and sings that at the end. And it was, I don't know, I thought the whole halftime show was pretty good. I thought this last little 2 minutes here was great. This was Kid Rock closing it out last night at halftime.
If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. 'Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can. Take care. Take care. You know, I awoke one Sunday morning all alone with this song stuck in my head. And in that moment, something or someone spoke to me. They said there was still a verse that needed to be written for this song, and to get up and write it down. There's a book that's sitting in your house somewhere that could use some dusting off. There's a man who died for all our sins, hanging from the cross. You can give your life to Jesus, and he'll give you a second chance till you can't. Take care. If you got a chance, take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. 'Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can. Take care. Take care. If you got a chance, take it while you got.
So then he just completes the chorus another time. That was kind of amazing. And with that, Mr. Jovi, please. And thank you, Mr. Jovi. All right. Welcome to Dead or Alive. This is the easier of the game shows that we play on the James Show. And at stake today, a 4-pack of tickets to the Shriners College Baseball Showdown. It'll be at Globe Life Field February 13th through 15th. Get tickets at globelifefield.com if you're interested in these teams. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt. But some lucky players are going to get a 4-pack right now. We're going to start with Marine. Maureen in Suttingville, you're first up on Dead or Alive. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Maureen. Today's category is Super Bowl halftime shows. So these are either the headliners or someone who participated in the Super Bowl halftime show. And I'm going to go in chronological order. You ready?
Ready.
From Super Bowl 4, Carol Channing, dead or alive?
Dead.
Died in 2019. From Super Bowl 12, Pete Fountain.
Dead.
Died in 2016. Yeah, Super Bowl 12. It was in New Orleans, so they did a New Orleans theme. But also, some Bug Tussle trivia. At Super Bowl 12, Tyler Jr. College and the Apache Bells also performed. So that means a lot where I'm from. Maureen, in Super Bowl 22, the headliner was Chubby Checker, dead or alive?
Dead.
Nope, he's 84 years old, still alive. Why are you trying to bury him, Maureen? All right.
Oh, man. Sorry.
Thank you very much. It was a good start. William, Roy City, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Super Bowl 27. Some guy, I heard of him before. Michael Jackson, dead or alive?
The singer?
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah. There's a little sarcasm in there, William. I'm glad you picked that up. Yeah, he died in 2010. Next one, Super Bowl 29. Teddy Pendergrass, ladies. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
No, Teddy Pendergrass is dead, sir.
Damn.
I know. All right. Thanks, William. We tried. Evan in Frisco, you're next up on Dead or Alive. Hey, Evan.
All righty. I'm ready.
You ready? All right. Next one. At Super Bowl 29, Tony Bennett came out and did a song with Lady Gaga. Is Tony Bennett dead or alive?
Alive.
Tony Bennett died, dude.
Oh, man.
I know. Well, you didn't last very long, but it was fun while you were on the show, Evan.
All righty.
Thank you, sir. Lance and Brock. Brock's a place? Where's Brock?
It's west of Fort Worth.
Okay, I'll just Google map it later. Patti LaBelle was also at Super Bowl 29. She dead or alive?
Live.
Yes, Patti LaBelle, 81. At Super Bowl 30, the next year, Diana Ross was the headliner. Is she dead or alive?
She's still alive.
She is, 81. Super Bowl 32, Smokey Robinson was on stage for a little bit. Was he dead or alive?
Oh, no. Smokey's dead.
Smokey's alive. Man, it was a 50-50, Lance. I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. All right, Jeff and Aubrey. There's only one Super Bowl left. We're up to Super Bowl 41. All you got to do is get this one right. You win the 4-pack of tickets. You ready?
Yes, sir.
In Super Bowl 41, the headliner was Prince. Is Prince dead or alive?
He is absolutely dead.
Yes, he is. Thank you. There you go. It really is that easy, Jeff. All right, are you a big baseball fan? Are you going to go to the big baseball tournament or whatever this weekend?
Well, I grew up with Skip Johnson, who's the OU coach. I'm not a big OU fan, but I'll be pulling for them because he's been their coach for a while. So.
No kidding. Well, that's super cool. We'll take some tickets from us. You get in a 4-pack so you can take 3 friends and go tell them the James Show said hi. And that has been today's episode of Dead or Alive. Coming up next, you're going to hear from some really ungrateful Olympians on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. And if you don't already have Rhino Shield on your house, you may be setting yourself up for some big problems. Now look, Rhino Shield goes on everything, aluminum, stucco, bricks. But if you have it over wood, check out this advantage. You come back in 10, 20, 25 years, there's not going to be any cracking, flaking, peeling. However, if you do paint, unless you just stay on top of it, look, eventually you're going to get the cracking, you're going to get the flaking, you're going to get the peeling. But you know what happens? Then water gets behind the paint. Then water gets in that board behind the paint. And then that board rots. And then you have to either have a shabby looking house that's rotting in front of your face, or you have to spend a ton of money getting it redone. Rhino Shield doesn't do that. Rhino Shield doesn't crack. It doesn't flake. It doesn't peel back. You can come back in 10 years and you're not going to see it kind of curling up off the edges at the top, like right under the roofing there. That's what Rhino Shield can do for you. It doesn't just look good. It doesn't just perform well. It doesn't just expand and contract with your house. It doesn't just save you money on energy costs. It doesn't just block UV sun rays. It protects what's behind it with space age technology. It's a space age primer with some space age nano ceramic particle, whatever the heck they use on the space shuttle. It's the same idea that they're using Rhino Shield, and you can have this done for your house. And this isn't something that's just out of this world expensive. It's probably cheaper than you think. And if you're having trouble with it, tell them you heard it on the James Show. They'll knock you 15% off just for being such a cool cat. And then if you still have issues, they can break it down into monthly payments. There's no excuse to not get Rhino Shield. It's easier to afford than paint because you have to come out of a pocket with the whole lump sum. When you get that done, it lasts longer than paint. It performs better than paint. You're crazy to not get Rhino Shield. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Not a big fan of the Winter Olympics. Not that I hate on them. Look, I can respect anybody that's just taken one event and made it their entire life's work and then become the best in the world at it. If you have to put in the effort to become best in the world at just about anything, whether it's, hockey or the luge or juggling bowling pins or playing chess, I mean, it's pretty admirable. However, Winter Olympics is something never appeared to me because I've only seen snow like 7 times in my life, counting a couple weeks ago. I'm from here. Look, where's the nearest mountain from Smith County, right? Guadalupe, or like where's the nearest ski town? So Winter Olympics or something. And also I feel like half the sports in the Winter Olympics are just made up. Again, not to be a jerk, not to demean it like I'm better than the Winter Olympics, but figure skating, that's not a sport. Let's have a dance contest. That's what that is. That's a dance contest. Yes, there's some athleticism involved. There's athleticism involved in dance contests too. When they were doing the dance off in Greece. Remember when he ditched Sandy for that Puerto Rican chick or whatever she was? That was Saturday Night Fever. That's athletic. Anyway, not to get off on too much of a tangent there. Also, these are made up events. Hey, let's go down on this bobsled. What even is a bobsled? Does a bobsled exist outside of the Olympics? I can understand dog sleds. People up north needed to get around. I can understand skiing. People up north either recreationally skied or used that for transportation. But never was there a prefixed track and people were going on sleds down it with the skeleton and the luge and the bobsled. What is that? We're just doing slip and slides. The Olympic slip and slide. Plus, and this might offend some delicate sensibilities, I feel like a lot of the Winter Olympics is just white people making up sports because we weren't doing so well in the other Olympics. That's just my theory. That's what we do. White people make up, like we made up pickleball. All right, so I do all that just to set up this pretty ungrateful fella at the Winter Olympics. He's a freestyle skier, which is something that shouldn't exist. Are you skiing? Is this a race? Are you seeing how far you can jump? Oh, you're free. Who can do the best tricks while they're skiing? All right, Hunter Hess, what'd you have to say?
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
Someone did something very smart that I wish I would have thought up first. Someone put into Grok, that is the artificial intelligence that answers your questions when you're on Twitter/X. Someone said, hey, Grok, did media ask any of the Olympians if they were proud or if they were ashamed to represent the United States when Biden, Obama, or Bill Clinton was in office? And Grok said, I'm scanning all the records and have found no evidence of someone being asked if they were proud to be from America or if they were ashamed to be from America under those presidents. So being from America is just a totally embarrassing, shameful thing because orange man bad. But this isn't about Trump. This is what they did under George W. Bush. This is what they did under Reagan. And I get these people who I think are just new to talk radio. They were like, why do they have to be so mean now? They've just lost their minds with Trump, calling him Hitler and stuff. And I have to remind people, no, they called George W. Bush Hitler too. I have the montages. They called Ronald Reagan Hitler, corporate fascist, literally demon Hitler. I have it. I can play you the Bill Hicks bit. I can play you a montage of comedians saying horrible things about George W. Bush, calling him the R word repeatedly. No, they've always been like this. But how miserable does your worldview make you if you're from the greatest country the world has ever put together? The greatest country as far as prosperity, as far as human rights, as far as safety, as far as luxury, as far as never missing a meal. And you're embarrassed of it. That's just sad, isn't it? All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show. I need you to stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. If you need more James Show action, go check out the podcast. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.